This is the pregame show here on OSN. It's Ottawa Sports. Now it is Lee Versage and Tanner Ryle with you on this Thursday, March the 19th. And the Ottawa Senators hosting the New York Islanders. Good evening, Tanner. How are you?
Doing pretty good, Lee. Ready for another night here on this back-to-back. Another big game for the Senators. Even more important that they get the job done against the opponent. And they're after losing last night, seeing you mess around with the lighting here.
I'm just having some fun with the sun. Hey, we need to have fun on a Thursday night after a 4-1 loss to the Washington Capitals last night. It becomes even more important, obviously, for the Ottawa Senators tonight. Still 5 points in the rear of a playoff spot. And now, with the schedule the way it is, you look at the standings and you see the Boston Bruins at home tonight. You see Detroit and Montreal with a big game. You see Columbus at home to the Rangers. We're getting to the point, Tanner, where it's not must win, obviously, but it's getting to the point where it's becoming closer and closer. And the news just coming out. Let's get right to it. Go ahead.
About an hour ago, per the Athletics, Julian McKenzie, James Reimer is expected to get the start against the Islanders. No other lineup changes, which I do find a little bit interesting because we did see Travis Green put the lines into a bit of a blender towards the end of the game yesterday.
Yep.
So we'll see if that ends up sticking throughout the entirety of this game, but James Reimer expected to get the start.
So where I'm not surprised is the going back to what people are familiar with in an important spot. So for the lines, yes, it wasn't working during the Washington game. They were looking for a spark, and that's what coaches do. I think it would be important for Travis Green to go back to the familiarity for such a big game when you absolutely have to have it. Now, where I am surprised is that Linus Ullmark is not going to go. And we're never going to know the answer, whether this is just a coaching decision, whether it's they went to Linus Ullmark this morning and he said that he isn't ready to go. We're not going to know. But I can tell you right now that from this spot, they better win tonight because this is the wrong decision to me. When you have a number one guy that's had 3 weeks off at the Olympic break, had a month off in January. Look, back-to-backs are difficult with travel, but it's not like they haven't been done before. And just the gap between your number one guy and a guy who hasn't played very much at all is a big one. And they're going to risk it tonight against the New York Islanders. So that is surprising to me. And I'm glad I'm not the coach in this spot. And maybe his hands were tied. Maybe Linus Ullmark said, Tanner, that, you know what, I'm just not ready to go. Or I shouldn't say it like that I don't know if I can be at my best tonight, as opposed to James Reimer preparing for this game for a long time. Maybe that's the difference, but I'm still surprised at this move.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think we spent some time talking about it on the post game last night, and yeah, I'm a little surprised, but yeah, you have to hope that James Reimer can be at his best, and he's coming off a shutout in his last game. Now, of course, the Islanders are a much better opponent than the team that he faced in his last game, but they need him to compete with the guy who's going to be across the ice, and that's Ilya Sorokin, who right now sits second in goals saved above expected in the NHL with 24.6 goals saved above expected. The number one guy is the guy they saw last night in Logan Thompson.
Okay, so they've gotten some breaks when it comes to facing other goaltenders in the past. Laurent Brossoit.
Even I'd say even Ville Husso on Saturday.
Yeah, and he was terrific actually on Saturday, but he's not the number one guy. And they've had break after break after break when it comes to other teams opposing goaltenders, but not anymore. And the games are too important for Washington, too important for the New York Islanders. And that's where, when you say that, because I know how good Ilya Sorokin is, so does the entire National Hockey League. But when you put it that way and you give that stat, it reinforces the gap between the goalies tonight in an important game. Like there's one that's a really, really good goalie. And there's another one that just, it's not even possible, I don't think, for him to be a really good goalie just with 38 years old, having not played in such a long time. So I'm just really surprised at this point in the season that this is where they are. And it furthers the discussion that they shouldn't be here, to me, that this is something that a position that they never should have been in. However, I mean, you look at James Reimer's numbers and you're like, okay, it's 2.53 goals against so far this year with an 882 save percentage. But it's just, to me, it's again, Tanner, on Sunday, it was 4-4. Now, it shouldn't have been 4-4, but we can discuss that all you want, but it's 4-4. Who's going to let in the next goal? And more than likely, the answer is Laurent Brossoit rather than Linus Ullmark. And that's exactly what happened. Tonight, if it's 2-2 or 1-1 in the third period, who's going to let in the next goal? Well, I don't know, but I can hazard a guess.
Yeah, it's probably the guy that, like you said last night, a couple months ago, was sitting on his couch eating Doritos and hoping to go to the Spengler Cup. And then across the ice, you've got a guy who damn well might win the Vezina Trophy this season in Ilya Sorokin.
Which is why Ottawa is going to have to be even better than they've been before, right? Like, they've been really good at not allowing teams shots and, making teams work for everything they have, but it just becomes so much more difficult. So you have an Islanders team right now that is third in the Metro. They have 83 points. They are one back of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and both of those teams have played 68 games. Their issue is that both the Boston Bruins and the Red Wings have 82. They're not in the same division, but they're one back. And the team that is in the same division, the Columbus Blue Jackets, have 81 points, two back of the Islanders with a game in hand. So the Islanders, while these standings can be really deceiving because you look at it and you go, oh, okay, well, the top three in each division, and then there's the two wild cards, and then there's a team not in the playoffs. Well, very, very easily tonight, the Columbus Blue Jackets, who have the Rangers at home, could be tied with the New York Islanders in points. And, at that point, the Islanders are on the cusp of missing the playoffs. Like tonight, at the end of tonight, they're in a position. Now, they do have one more regulation win than the Columbus Blue Jackets. But if I'm assuming that, if Columbus wins and the Islanders lose tonight, that number is also going to be tied. And we're talking about percentage points. We're talking about like the fourth or fifth stop just for the Islanders to remain in the playoffs. If they lose and Columbus wins tonight, that's how close it is. I also put on that the New York Islanders played in Toronto on Tuesday, came to Ottawa Tuesday night, were on the ice yesterday, and ready for the game in a normal situation today. Well, the Ottawa Senators got in late last night from Washington. I did not skate this morning and have to go into a back-to-back against a team that's been sitting here waiting for them. So, all that said, I thought the Ottawa Senators played a pretty good game last night.
Yeah, they did. I mean, how many chances in the first period that probably should have gone in? The ones that Matt Roy was swiping out of the air, and a couple that just creeped along the goal line, and they just had zero bounces go their way. And if that first period goes differently, then who knows what type of game they would have played in the rest of it if they're able to play that defensive shutdown style. But that didn't happen, so it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. The result is what matters. And right now, this team needs results. And they've got some real tough ones coming up down the stretch, and tonight's a big one. So anything short of a win is not acceptable for this team.
We got the news this morning that Matthew Schaefer missed the morning skate, and it kind of sent a buzz through, the Ottawa hockey world. Man, they might get a massive break, but doesn't look that way.
No, it doesn't seem so. I've not seen a recent comment. I've been checking the Islanders socials here, but yeah, Patrick Waugh, their head coach, should have been Ottawa's head coach maybe at one point, but Patrick Waugh saying that he is expected to play tonight. So they're not going to get a break there. And I will rewind the clock a little bit. It was a game, I remember it was a Hockey Night in Canada game earlier this season where Schaefer was sick and feeling under the weather. I want to say it was against Montreal, but I remember specifically it was a Hockey Night in Canada game. And he had 2 goals that night, including the game winner in overtime. And he got the Hockey Night in Canada towel and was like not feeling very well. So a sick Matthew Schaefer, I don't know, maybe it brings something out in him. But yeah, you got Sorokin you got to watch out for. You got Schaefer. And then I also saw on the Islanders social, Matt Barzal is one player who's on a bit of a heater right now that the Senators are going to have to look out for. He's got 11 assists and 1 goal for 12 points in his last 10 games.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's their best player. Crazy that Matthew Schaefer is second on the team in scoring. Like Matthew Schaefer is second on the Islanders to Matt Barzal. Like,
what a turnaround for this team in general. Like where they were a year ago with Lou Lamoriello still at the helm and no Schaefer yet. One of the most boring teams to watch. Definitely missing the playoffs to where they are now. It's miraculous. What a turnaround.
I think it really shows the rejuvenation, enthusiasm, whatever you want to call it. If you get a special player into your lineup, look at the San Jose Sharks, right? And they're probably, a decent team, but when you don't have that identity and you don't have that one player that people come to watch, Matthew Schaefer is one of those players. Like Matthew Schaefer is in, I don't know, like even I'll ask you now. I know this is a bit off the top of your head, but how many players in the NHL legitimately do you think people go to pay to see? Like, tonight, like I'm going to go out and watch. Like if this team's in town, do they have a player that I'm like, holy, you know what? I'm going to get to the rink. I really want to watch this guy.
Yeah, I think everybody has somebody in their own towns, but I think you mean like when an away team is coming, you're going just to see that player. I think like tonight, Crosby might still be on that tier, but I mean, it's McDavid, it's McKinnon / Makar.
Yeah.
You count them even as one because they're on the same team.
Yep.
Celebrini.
Players that you would go to watch, and if you're in Ottawa and the Sens are playing that team, you're not interested as much in the team as you are like, oh, I need to watch that player play. And you're right, Makar, McKinnon, you kind of get a 2 for 1.
Yeah, I would say Celebrini's in that tier. I know I went to the Sharks game. That was a big reason why I wanted to go.
Well, and you can talk about with that game, how many people were there like an hour before down at the San Jose Shark glass with Celebrini jerseys on?
It was a lot. I would say it definitely was. Another guy in that tier, I think Connor Bedard is still there, even if he's still working on. I think so. It seems to like, I think I was at a Chicago game last season and there was a pretty big gathering of people there.
That was last year. I don't know that, like for me, I don't know that he's in that tier this year. Like I don't, if Connor Bedard's coming with Chicago, I think I was excited to go to the rink to see Connor Bedard last year. And for me, I don't know that that's the case this year. It's absolutely the case with Matthew Schaefer.
Absolutely, yeah. And Schaefer would be the other one. I would say maybe Quinn Hughes, but I'm not sure that he's that type of player.
Yeah, he's a really interesting one, isn't he? Because he's clearly one of the best players in the league.
And like the clip he's been scoring at too since going to Minnesota. I mean, if he was playing that way in Vancouver before he was kind of checked out, he'd be the Norris lock for sure.
Yeah.
So he'd be on the fringe for me.
But as you go through the teams, and I'm just looking at the teams now, there's not a ton of guys that I say, yeah, I'm going to go to the rink tonight because I want to watch him.
Yeah.
So who
another one I think that I might have there that others probably wouldn't would be Kucherov as well.
Yeah, I mean, people here have gotten a chance to go and watch him. Yeah,
he's so good.
I know he is, but but he doesn't have that electricity. He's like the veteran that's going to find his space. And then when he finds that space, when everyone knows he's going to do it and still does it, and the shots, they're incredible. But I don't know that he brings me like out of my seat when he steps on the ice. And I'm talking about that type, but I respect that very much, because I think, people that are in the game, and, there's a lot of players that you or somebody else might go and say, well, I really want to see that guy. But I'm just talking about the casual fan. I got McDavid, McKinnon, Makar, Celebrini, Schaefer, Crosby.
Do you think in the US that Jack Hughes is kind of entering that tier after the Olympics?
So I do now. Yeah, I for those who might have listened to me in a previous life, 5 or 6 years ago, I said that Jack Hughes was going to be one of the best players in the National Hockey League in 5 years. Well, we're here, and probably needed that gold medal goal to get into that tier. But absolutely, the guy is a rock star in the United. Like, no matter where he goes now, like even with the World Baseball Classic, right? They're strolling in with Jack Hughes jerseys on. Like, there's not a chance in the world that those baseball players knew who Jack Hughes was before. No chance. So yes, I do think in the States he's in that tier. I think the Kachucks are well known, but I don't think people go to watch them play, that they bring them out of their seat.
I think I would agree with that.
But clearly, with what they did at the Olympics, it's they're rock stars in the States. I got 6, right? McDavid.
Yeah, I think so.
Would you put Draisaitl in that category?
I thought about bringing him up as well, because like if Connor McDavid's not playing for the Oilers, are you still going to see them? Because they still got Draisaitl, they still got Bouchard. There's some pretty exciting guys there, but
I'm probably
he's not. He's not McDavid. Yeah, like just in terms of charisma and like pull, I don't know.
So again, McKinnon, Makar, McDavid, Crosby, Schaefer, Celebrini.
And then I think our fringe guys were like Bedard and then the Hughes brothers.
Bedard, Bedard would be probably the next guy. I don't know that people in Ottawa, with Minnesota coming to town, I think if you're already going to the game, you would be like, oh, I'm going to make sure that I watch Quinn Hughes. I hear he's a great player. But I don't know that people are, I need to get to the rink to watch Quinn Hughes with the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, I think for me, like Minnesota would be more exciting as a collective. Like that's a team that I would really want to go and see, because you've got Hughes and you've got Kaprizov. Yeah. And I'd probably put like a Buffalo in that similar status where it's an exciting team, but I don't think there's an individual that I'm really stoked to go and see. Maybe Rasmus Dahlin can be on that level in a couple of years if the Sabres stay like this. But yeah, I think those two would be more of like an organization that I really want to see play together.
Sorry, I was just counting. So
I think Ovechkin would have been there as well going into the goal race, but I think since then he's probably left that group.
Agreed. Yeah, there was a time in his career that he was that, and then as he got to the record, it was like back in the day, before your time, and before we knew that, well, we kind of knew they were cheating, but Sosa, McGuire, it was, you just had to be around the TV. You had to go and try and watch them, because they're probably going to hit a home run and they're going to chase each other through the 50s and the 60s and into the 70s to try and win the home run title. That was fun. That was, you had to go to the park to be a part of it. But even if you include Bedard, that's 7 guys in the entire league. 7. And just to reinforce the fact that one of them is here tonight in a big game against Ottawa. You brought up the Minnesota Wild. Maybe not the time for this, but I think we're going to talk a lot about it, Tanner, in the next month. I think the Minnesota Wild and the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche are going to get this playoff structure changed. I do.
I hope so.
So I firmly believe that this is the year that they are going to get this structure changed through the league, because when they go to their meetings, whoever loses, so the Colorado Avalanche are number 1 in the NHL right now.
Yep.
With 98 points. Second in the league, the Dallas Stars at 96 points. And tied for 4th in the league, the Minnesota Wild with 90 points. So when it comes to the playoffs, 2 of those 3 teams, and very, very likely the Minnesota Wild versus one of them, are going to face each other in the first round, and somebody's going to lose. And that team, to me, especially with what Bill Guerin has done and kind of the lengths that he has gone to get the Minnesota Wild to this place, I think they'd be on the National Hockey League's doorstep the next day.
Well, it's already happening. The GM meetings this week, I think Guerin's already had a quote saying, like, the fact that they don't have home ice advantage in the playoffs and they're a top 3 team is kind of ridiculous.
Right. So he's planting the seeds. But we hear a lot of that, and Gary Bettman goes, yeah, I'll take it into consideration. Yeah, and then nothing happens. This is the year that I think it really does shake the foundation, because when it gets there, you're going to have one team in the top 4 or 5 that didn't get home ice and lost in the first round, and they're going to be pissed about it. And they should be pissed about it. Should be. So the reason I bring this up too is because sorry, I was just looking at the schedule. I need to find out, are the Ducks playing tonight? I know that's a weird question.
I don't believe so.
No, they are not. So if the Ottawa Senators win tonight, they jump into 13th overall in the National Hockey League, ahead of the Anaheim Ducks. And if they win tonight, depending on what other teams do, they are still going to be 4 or 5 points out of the playoffs. Right? Like, it's possible that they win tonight and they've gained like maybe a point. Maybe.
Yeah.
And they're going to be 13th overall in the NHL. I don't know. So that obviously it's going to be a lesser tier than the loser of that first round. Say it's Minnesota, say it's Dallas, who's had an incredible year. Say it's Colorado. They're going to be knocking down the NHL's doorstep. But there is a real, I think, groundswell from some of the teams as well, that the Ottawa Senators are there. And the other point that, like, right around them, so the Columbus Blue Jackets right now are 12th in the National Hockey League. They are the 12th best team of 32 teams in the NHL. And they are not in the playoffs.
And if you want to flip that on the other side, the Seattle Kraken right now in the final wildcard spot in the Western Conference are 21st overall in the NHL.
Yikes. So
71 points.
So this is the type of data that I think you need to take to the NHL to go, there's a serious problem. This is not, like, this has happened before. It's not a one-off. But now we're in dangerous territory. Now we're in a place that I don't think you can come back from. So I think I know what your answer is going to be, because you're, well, I won't say you're plain Jane, but I know what your answer is going to be. If you were going to fix it, what would you do?
I just go to the 1 versus 8 system, I think, for the seeding. I don't think you can mess with the conferences really, but I mean, if you wanted to do something with that a little bit, maybe you get rid of some of the East versus West matchups, and maybe like each team, like each East team plays each West team once a year instead of twice, and then you do some more interdivision type of stuff or interconference games. Mm-hmm. Maybe that would balance things out that way, but I don't think they're going to get rid of like the Eastern Western Conference. I can't see that being a thing, but
yeah. So
I think
I'm not asking you what you think they're going to do. I'm asking you what you would like them to do.
That's what I would like. I'd like the 1-8, and then also I think more interconference, interdivision matchups to build up the rivalries a little bit more and make the East versus West things matter a little bit less.
Okay. I would absolutely like, and people are gonna kill me for this, but it's not like I haven't said it before, and I just don't believe in some of the I don't believe in some of the travel like other people do. And I would also tell you, like, if you really want to get me going on the travel thing, the team from like in the mid 2010s, when the Chicago Blackhawks and the LA Kings kept winning the Stanley Cup, they were consistently the most traveled team, not only in the regular season, but in the playoffs as well. Like, it wasn't even close, because Chicago, when they won all those cups, were in the West.
Right.
And every time they had to fly to LA, they had to fly to San Jose, they had to fly to the West Coast all the time from Chicago. And you know who cared? Nobody. And when I start to bring up the travel, that when I say I think it should be 1-16, I truly believe it. Yeah, you play your conference a little bit more, but right now, the Philadelphia Flyers are 16th in the NHL. They have 76 points. By percentage points in regulation wins, or percentage points, they're ahead of Utah, Vegas, and Washington, who are all tied with 76 points for the last playoff spot in the National Hockey League. Like, come on. So if you did these matchups right now, people would go, oh, the travel. Like, it's Colorado versus Philadelphia. It's Dallas versus Edmonton. It's Ottawa versus Carolina. Now, Buffalo, Anaheim is one that people would complain about for sure, but then it's Minnesota, Columbus, Boston, Tampa Bay, Montreal, Detroit, and Pittsburgh and the Islanders. There's only one series that I would go, oh yeah, the travel's not great for the Buffalo Anaheim series. It's not great. And make it a 2-3-2 and figure it out.
Yep.
Like, I know that this is probably not even, but I traveled with the Sens once, and when I was traveling with them, they were in Florida. It is the longest Eastern flight that exists in the National Hockey League. There is no further flight of two Eastern Conference teams than the Florida Panthers and the Ottawa Senators. Even Montreal is slightly closer, direct to Lauderdale, where you have to land. Montreal is just a slight bit closer. Ottawa is the furthest. That night, it was a 7:30 game. The rink is further than the Ottawa rink to the Ottawa airport, which is far, right? It's not around the corner from the CTC to the Ottawa airport. The Florida rink is further than that, away from the airport. I was home in my bed after a steak dinner on the plane at 1:29 a.m. on a 7:30 game. Not great for players if you have to play tomorrow. I understand, but it's not the end of the world. This is my point. And if you total up the miles that the Chicago Blackhawks and the LA Kings flew during the regular season, the playoffs, it was the most of any NHL team that year, and they won the Stanley Cup. You can't tell me that the travel is the reason why this can't work. They fly private charters, they get steak or shrimp or chicken, and they don't, you're up in the air and then you're down. It's not that big of a deal. I would love to see it. I think it would make the races, like I just told you, all those teams tied for 16th, but then 1 point ahead of them, Ottawa and Edmonton. 1 point ahead of them, the Ducks. Like, everybody's right there. And imagine some of these matchups. They're fun matchups. You don't get to see them. You don't get to see them all the time. And you're going to get a couple that are like in the division. And then you're going to get a couple like Buffalo, Anaheim. What a fun series that would be. So I would go 1-16. And for me, it eliminates all of this stuff. Like, you're not going to have any of the Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota beefing. And you're not going to have, not that Ottawa's beefing, but Ottawa's in 14th place right now in the National Hockey League, and they're 5 points out of a playoff spot. Like, come on.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you've sold me on it. I'm on board. I can't see the league going for it.
No, I know.
I mean, I'd love it. I think just the easiest.
They did it up until 82, I think, or.
Yeah, I guess I just think like probably the easiest solution that they would go for would probably be the 1v8.
But what they do need to do is fix this. This is not the right system. It's just not for anybody.
Yeah, I could definitely see that coming up. And I mean, you already saw Bill Guerin bringing that up at the GM meetings this week. Seems like that and the headshots thing and the goaltender interference, two things kind of related to the Senators over the last week, are the things that are being brought up by the GMs.
Nice to see our crew finally getting here. Guys, the show started half an hour ago. Another day, another must win for the Ottawa Senators, says Z Gibbon. Just another night that the Trenton Golden Hawks aren't playing, Tanner. So it's nice that Zach's around. Ethan says, I'm late. I apologize. Ethan, where have you been? I don't know if you talked about it, but I hate that Green didn't change the lines even a little. Fogel is such a good pair with Pinto, and it's not happening. Brutal. We did talk about it. And once again, Ethan, you've interjected yourself into the chat and you're wrong. This is a massive game for the Ottawa Senators. And you have to go with what has got you here in the first place. This is not, they mixed up the lines in the middle of the game because they weren't scoring last night and they were looking for a spark. But you don't just completely alter things when you need a big win because you didn't win last night. You haven't lost a lot of games in regulation. They still really only gave up 2 goals last night, 2 empty netters in that 4-1 victory. So, man, I don't agree with you at all. They've been really good. I don't know why that you would switch it up because you didn't score last night. Logan Thompson just played really well. You play that game, you win most times. Oh, boy. I knew it. Erickson, we're all going to be huge Habs fans tonight. Well, Eric, I hate to agree with you, but I think everyone will. You, Tanner, Montreal, Detroit. Would you rather the Canadiens kind of win and keep their gap, bringing Detroit back? Is that the team that you'd like to see back?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Canadiens are pretty much out of reach for the Senators at this point. I mean, they're only 2 points back of the Tampa Bay Lightning for second in the division. So, yeah, I think you take the Montreal win, and I think Detroit is the weak one that you could probably pull back just based on their injuries right now with Larkin and Kopp and Gibson not playing at that elite level that he was earlier in the season. Yeah, I think you would hope for a Montreal win and let them pull ahead and start focusing on teams like the Bruins, the Red Wings, maybe one of the Islanders or Penguins.
Massive week for the Red Wings. They have Montreal tonight. They have Boston on Saturday, and they have Ottawa on Tuesday. Their next 3 games are literally teams within 2 points. And or 4 points, I guess, Ottawa.
Do they not have the Blue Jackets after that as well? I think they might.
I will check very quickly, but yeah, I was just focused on the 3 games that they had. They do not. They have Buffalo, Philly, Pittsburgh.
Still us. All Eastern teams.
They do have Columbus one more time later on in April. But their next 3 games, Montreal, Boston, and Ottawa, might go a very long way in deciding. Ethan says, can both Detroit and Montreal lose? That pretty much means, Ethan, that it's going to be a 3-point game, and you know it, and I know it, and Sens fans know it going in. And Cole Caulfield will just score in overtime, and that'll be the end of that.
Yeah, that's worst case scenario for tonight.
Yeah. Ethan saying, I'm not saying huge changes. I'm saying Fogle and Cousins. I thought Nick Cousins was as good a senator as there was. Like,
yeah,
caused 2 penalties, especially one with 6 minutes to go in the third period, where they absolutely needed a goal. Cousins was all over the place in that game.
Yeah, it's not like he hasn't been scoring this year either. Like, sure, you bring in Fogle, and probably on paper you would want to play him on your third over Cousins, but I don't think Nick Cousins has given them any reason to demote him whatsoever. So
he was one of the best players and gave them a chance to win the other night. Why is he the guy that you want to switch out?
He was everything that I would have hoped that Brady Tkachuk would have been in the last game.
I was just going to say, and it's almost, you're biting your tongue, right? To go like, this is what Brady Tkachuk should be doing. Nick Cousins is doing it. Man. We're starting to get to the point where we're going to have to ask ourselves if there's a Brady Tkachuk problem. And you hope
some's not right.
You hope that a game like this and their next, they got Toronto on Saturday and obviously the Rangers in Detroit on Tuesday, that 5 games in 7 days. It's tough. You knew that players coming back from the Olympics and especially winning the gold and everything that they did afterwards, that it would be tough for them to get going again. But man, you're the captain of the team that's 5 points out of a playoff spot. And there's been probably at least 2 hands worth of players that I can count on the team that they've been better than you.
Yeah. It's the engagement level for me and the physicality. I think he's got 1 hit in his last 2 games, especially contrasting him with a player that he's probably the most comparable in his play style when he's at his best last night in Tom Wilson, who scored the game-winning goal and was all over the place for the Washington Capitals. Yeah. Big reason that they won that game. Yeah. Whereas Brady's shirt,
I know what you mean. He took 2 bad penalties against Nick Cousins. Yeah. 2 that put his team in a bad spot. But you're right. He scored a goal and he was very noticeable last night.
And Brady was not. He's just, there hasn't been a ton out of him. Like, he's had some moments and he's a point a game, but that's not what we know Brady Tkachuk for. And he even had there was one defensive play where he broke up a breakaway that I thought was really nice. Yeah. I think that was on McMichael. But Brady Tkachuk is supposed to be dragging this team into the fight and engaged physically. And right now, sure, he's getting the odd assist and stuff, but he's not noticeable. And this team needs him right now.
Ethan says, okay, what? I really liked Brady's game last night. He was all over the ice, moving the puck. He's averaging a point a game. I don't get that take right now. Well, you're not watching the same games I'm watching, Ethan. If you think Brady Tkachuk has been a difference maker for the Ottawa Senators.
He's been a passenger.
Yep.
Like the third best guy on his line.
I agree. So you just look to how many guys you could count last night that I thought were more noticeable and had a better or more of a positive impact on Ottawa trying to win the game than Brady Tkachuk. I could go 10 deep with players last night. So great that you thought that he was good, and now you're going to he's averaging a point a game. Get out of here with that, Ethan. Come on. This is like the second assist thing. Brady, as Tanner said, Brady Tkachuk is the captain of this team. He needs to be dragging everybody else along with him. You need to be asking yourself at the end of games if they don't win, going, why didn't everybody else play like Brady Tkachuk played tonight? But instead, you're asking yourself, why didn't Brady Tkachuk play as well as Nick Cousins last night? Come on. Like, what are we doing here? I understand coming back from the Olympics is a tough thing, but I think Ethan's playing the heel tonight, so I appreciate that. Fans have been begging Brady to dial back his emotions and play a more rounded and mature game. A thumb injuries finally forced him to play that way, and everyone's still upset. Seems he can't win. Well, first of all, he hurt his thumb in October.
I think we're past the thumb thing. I think it's something else.
He hurt his thumb in October. It's March. Like, come on, Ethan. Like, you're giving this guy way too much leniency. It's like Ullmark. Ullmark makes $8.25 million. Sorry he went through what he went through, but he needs to get in there and stop the puck. He needs to be the best goalie on the ice, and he's not. Brady Tkachuk wasn't one of the 10 best players on both teams last night. And that's not acceptable in a spot where he's the captain of the team that drags everybody along, and they need him badly. You know what you never say about Tim Stützle anymore? Never. And I used to say it about him, that he played really, really well, and then he would disappear the next night. Well, he doesn't anymore. Every night, Tim Stützle is one of the best players on the ice, whether he scores or whether he doesn't score. You cannot say that with a straight face about Brady Tkachuk since he got back from the Olympics.
And I don't think it's the thumb either, because I remember the last few games before he went over to the Olympics, we started to see the old Brady Tkachuk come out a little bit.
Yep.
He was hitting more, he was scoring, and then he goes to Milan, and I don't know if something happened over there, or if he got hurt, or if it's just he was playing in the biggest games of his life and he doesn't want to be here right now. I don't know if it has anything to do with the Canada-US thing and the media storm he faced. I don't know if it's another injury, but something isn't right with him. It's, to me, it's I don't want him fighting. I don't need that, but he skates away from every scrum. He's not throwing the body around like he usually does. And yeah, most of his stuff is coming from assists, and it's even the engagement level of the defense. I brought up the takeaway on McMichael last night, but there was that other play where it was right before the second goal. He was floating, and like puck went right by him. He could have stole it. He did a little stretch out, like try to reach for the puck. Just zero engagement. Like, what happened?
When's the last time you remember? I'm just trying to look at his like game logs and stuff. You remember a big goal from Brady Tkachuk? Not a goal, like a big goal, like a goal that gets this team back in it, like breaks a tie to, give them the outright lead or give them a 2-goal lead, something that matters.
I couldn't tell you, because I don't think there has been one since the Olympic break.
Okay, well that's not good enough. And what needs to change is that's got to change like now, like tonight. This is actually hilarious to me. The Habs in Montreal after Thanksgiving. I don't know if you're arguing for Brady Tkachuk or against him right now, Ethan, but
that was a while ago.
Thanksgiving, November. Captain of the Senators, gold medal winning guy. That guy. Thanksgiving. All right, well, that's going to do it. Tanner, we're going to give you a break on the post-game show tonight, but enjoy the game, and I'm sure we will talk to you very soon. There is no shortage of games coming up for the Ottawa Senators as they play Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, and hopefully you're still in it at that point. Tonight,
better hope so.
Tonight's result will go a long way. Prediction tonight?
Hopefully a response. I'm not feeling great, though, about this Islanders team, especially looking at, we talked about Schaefer and Barzal and Sorokin. That's a deadly trio right there. And James Reimer in net. I took the Sens last night, but I think tonight I'm taking the Islanders, as much as it pains me.
Okay. I've been going back and forth with this one all day long. I think the Sens are going to find a way tonight, and I don't think it's going to be pretty. So I'm going to say that this is a 3-2 overtime game.
I think if the Sens do get it done, it's going to be low scoring, and it's going to be a very gritty one, just to get that past Sorokin. I also did see that Sorokin is 3-0-0 at the Canadian Tire Center in his entire career.
Isn't that the story of the Senators, that every opposing goalie comes in and is like, oh man, I love that rink. I love the lighting. I play really well there. It's awesome. Oh, Sens fans just get tired of hearing stuff like that. Okay, Tanner, thanks very much. Appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight. And myself, Steve McKenzie, will be along for This Is Overtime. But we expect you in the chat a little bit. I mean, just to even counter Ethan in the chat. Well,
Somebody has to.
We need somebody to balance things out.
Perfect. Yeah. Sounds good. I'll be back here on Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate it. Folks, have yourselves a very nice couple hours here, 2.5 hours. And we will be back after the game on This Is Overtime, Ottawa and the New York Islanders. This has been the pregame show on OSN.